welcome back to my channel. So today we are talking about Xbox controller drift. So right now, my son Sutton has been using this Xbox controller for a while, and he's experiencing drift with it, which means that if he's holding it, you can actually see the cursor or whatever slowly moving to the side as if he's actually touching one of the joysticks to make that happen. And he's not doing that. It's just automatically kind of slowly going off, drifting off to the side. You sometimes have this problem with computers, with mice and things like that for computers. He's got that problem with this. So we're going to go through a couple things to try to troubleshoot fixing that. So you power on your Xbox console. You go into settings, access the settings menu. Okay. Select devices and accessories. Or I guess in this would be devices and connections, right? And it would be select the Xbox controller, so controllers and headsets. Okay. Select the ... I think it might be under that. Well, let's update the firmware first. So update now. So we're going to update the firmware. Update now. So we're going to let that run, which is going to take a little bit of time. So this is one step in is start by updating the firmware. Make sure that that is up to date on the controller itself because they could have an issue where they fixed it. So we're going to start with that, and then we'll work through and we'll actually do and see if we can actually adjust the dead zone slider for the Xbox controller as well. All right, so that's been completed. So we're going to hit next.
All right.
Okay, how do you tell if there's drift? As you can see, the drift is this button, right? You can see that he's not touching it, and it's slowly making his view go right to the ceiling.
See my camera? That one, not touching it.
Okay, so the firmware update didn't fix it, so we are going to try to go into the controller settings within the game and adjust the dead zone adjustment within the game. So Sutton, you want to go into that, please?
You go to the main menu. You go down to menu. Click on settings. At the top, you want to go to controller settings. Go down on the side to controller dead zone. And this is how you get to right stick dead zone.
And because if you're seeing his controller like that, it's his right one. So we are going to try to mess with that a little bit and see if we can adjust that 8%. You see how it's at 8% right now. We're going to make some adjustments to that. Can you just try first to restore defaults? Go to X and hit accept. So it's supposed to be at 20. That's the default for it. So why don't we test that first?
Oh, there it is. Slowly moving.
Not as bad though.
Yeah, not as bad, but it's moving a little bit. Yeah. So it is moving a little bit.
Yes. Yeah, so we reset the joystick in the controller, and you can see it still has a problem where it is actually going up. So it's probably more of a controller issue than it is a setting issue, so we're going to start to take some more aggressive steps to fix it. Okay, so we kept going back into the controller settings. You can see the drift is still happening. We set it to 40. So default for Xbox controller is at 20 for the right and the left joystick. There's drift on each. So you have to choose the right or the left, whichever one's drifting on you. So Sonny's going to show you, go back into settings. Then you go into controller. And you see on the right is the one that's drifting for him. And it drifts up like we showed you. So at 47, it still drifts. So we kept increasing this percentage. And so once we got to 75, so we went up basically 25% each time just to see if it was actually helping. So once we set it to 75, go back in, Sutton. You'll notice the drift actually has stopped. So normally when he moves around, as soon as he stops, you'll start seeing the drift, which is the vision of, in this game, the vision of the player would slowly start going up towards the ceiling. Now you'll notice that there is no more drift. So instead of pulling the controller apart and doing all kinds of stuff to it, yes, there could be something more. There could be a bunch of gunk in it. There could be hair in it. There could be dust in it, grime, whatever. Food. It doesn't, who knows what happens in these gaming rooms. Anyways, before you start tearing it apart, go into the controller setting for the game that you're on and check to see if there's a controller drift setting for your controller. And then slowly increase that percentage until your drift stops. So you can see now he has no drift left in this controller. So that's it. Subscribe to our channel. That's how you fix the drift of an Xbox controller. Going through a couple of easy steps. Always keep your firmware up to date. It's always going to be the first thing to do. Second thing is to start going into the controller settings themselves within each game. Check to see if that is a problem for you. The third would be to start taking more cleaning measures on each of the little controller joysticks and that sort of thing. So that's it. Subscribe to our channel. We'll see you next time. Super thanks is always welcome. Thanks.